What is up, YouTube, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Behind the Wall, presented by Perky Jerky. I am Junior Nation 5788, also known as Middleburg One, and also known as Tyler. And I'm here with my co-counsel, Nick and Alex. And tonight we are going to discuss the Phoenix races. We're going to go over the Xfinity and Cup race. We're also going to hit on normal topics and things such as awards, paint schemes, and obviously we'll also go over our fantasy picks. So let's get right into it. The Xfinity race, that was quite an event. By far, it was one of the best races I've seen on a non-plate or road course in that series in quite some time. Very, very good race.
Yeah, it was excellent. Thank God for no Cup veterans being allowed on that one, because it really was a series where names are made this weekend, and it was really nice to see.
Yeah, obviously you had like younger Cup drivers like Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez, and yes, even Austin Dillon. But still, even though they did play a factor, the Xfinity regulars they really brought their A game today. They knew, obviously with it being a dash for cash line, they knew that they had extra incentive to really bring out their best stuff, and even more so knowing that there was going to be no Cup veterans like Kyle Busch or Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, names like that were notably absent from the field, and obviously that was a huge deal. And before I end, I just want to give a big congratulations to Illinois' own Justin Allgaier for bringing home the win on Saturday. That was really awesome to see. He'd been struggling for so long, and finally see him claim redemption, driving for Dale Jr. no less. It was really fun to see, and like Tyler said, that was probably one of the best Xfinity races I've ever seen that wasn't on a plate track or a road course.
Yeah, and like nobody's going to be disappointed for Justin Allgaier winning that race. For God's sakes, the guy hadn't won anything in NASCAR competition since, what was it, at least 4 years. It was 80 total Xfinity races, even though he spent time out of Xfinity in the Cup, kind of running a mid-pack backfield car, the 51 for H. Scott Motorsports. Great deal for him. He needed it. And that team is good, and I think that they can make a good championship run as far as that goes. Going back to the whole part of the younger Cup guys being in it, Suarez, Jones, Austin Dillon, and even his little brother Ty was in the race as well. I don't really have a problem with those guys racing. Obviously, they have a rule now in place where that if you're in the Cup Series or whatever, and you have 5 years or 5 or less years of experience, that you can run, I guess, as many races as you want. It's not a big deal to me because these guys, they don't even have a Cup win. None of them have Cup wins. Granted, 2 of them are fresh rookies. Daniel Suarez just made his first start in the 500. So it's not really a big deal because it's not like they're Cup champions. They're not Kyle Busch's. They're not Kevin Harvick's. They're not even Denny Hamlin or Matt Kenseth. They're not Junior. I can't even say Junior, really. Junior doesn't run that many races. But the point is, if you're a guy that runs in the Cup Series and you're a champion and if you won a bunch of races and you're running a bunch of races in the Xfinity Series, you don't need to do that shit. Guys like an Austin Dillon that don't have a win yet, they could use all the seat time that they need, really. And so I wanted to bring that up because I noticed a lot of people getting salty about that, and it's just like slow your roll. Like, these guys aren't going in the Cup Series and kicking ass every week, and they're not exactly going in Xfinity and stinking it up either. They clearly had competition on Saturday. They had to work for it, and at the end of the day, the best car, which I felt was Justin Allgaier, who is an Xfinity regular, came home with the win.
Yeah, Xfinity and trucks is where the young guys, they're there to learn and gain experience. And I know some people say, they can get experience because of the Cup guys, because that's where they're headed. But at the same time, it's nice to just kind of race around your own kind for a while. And it's easier to shine that way and, get known instead of having the highest Xfinity guy finish third and no one really cares about that because they're all like, oh, Kyle Busch won again. So, it's just nice to see them all race it out together, and then it's kind of like more the best man moves on to, the next part of his life instead of just being overshadowed by the Cup guys. And going back to Allgaier, it just seems like he belongs in Xfinity. It's just kind of where he was meant to be. It's nice to see him come back from his, I guess, less than stellar Cup years.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even really count that because it's just Xfinity is just it works for him.
it does. It's kind of like Matt Crafton in the Truck Series. So,
Yeah,
you know, but anyway, it was a great race out there. You know, lots of passing battles throughout the entire field. I don't even think it was dominated for the win. You know, Justin Allgaier, sure, it looked like he had the best car, but it wasn't just a gimme. He had to work for it, and that's what made that race great from start to finish. And that kind of moves on into the Cup race, and we didn't see that. That exact same thing you saw in the Xfinity race was not the case in the Cup Series, and it's quite frankly a shame because I expected a little better from it, honestly.
yeah. I mean, it spread out a lot more than Xfinity. There was still some good racing, especially near the end of stage one, I believe, when you had Larson and Logano and Chase Elliott kind of all under a blanket there, and there was that awesome three wide pass for the lead on Logano on that one restart.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the highlights of the race. But I mean, yeah, overall, I would say Xfinity had the better race overall. But obviously, another situation in Cup of you got to watch the whole thing because you never know what's going to happen.
Yep, and I can attest to that. I actually had to go and do some business with like 10 laps to go, and unfortunately, I did miss the last caution with Joey Logano blowing a tire and setting up that final restart. I did get down in time, thankfully, to see to see Larson almost get turned around, and Ryan Newman somehow, some way, getting his first win of the year and his first win in almost 4 years. I mean, obviously we like to make fun of Newman for not having a damn neck, but but man, that was actually fun to see him, finally get a win with RCR after this is what, his fourth year with the team now.
Yep.
Yeah, it was definitely gratifying for not just for him but for Luke Lambert and that whole team. I mean,
Yeah,
it's great to finally see it. Yeah, go ahead.
it was a good deal. Like, I mean, I'm not a fan of any of those guys. It really, doesn't bother me to see them run poorly or good. It's just, but when you see them win and you realize how long it's been since they did, it's like, man, you kind of start to feel good for them because it is a feel good story. The team's been around obviously for a long time. I don't have to sit here and explain that, but they had been through such a dry spell, and obviously Newman with an even longer dry spell. They both had their last wins in 2013, and they finally pulled through, even on a day where they certainly weren't the best and they certainly weren't going to win, but they tried some shit and it worked out for them. So,
Yeah.
getting back to straight up racing on the day, you saw how clean air was clearly king, and man, it was. I was thinking about how to say this, and I think the way to put it, even though it's confusing when I first say it here, it was predictably unpredictable. You know, you knew once somebody got out front that they were probably going to stay there. That was the case with Joey Logano in the first segment. That was the case when Chase Elliott got out front, made a great pass. Again, I have to say about that, that was excellent. But once he got out there, started dominating. Then once he lost the lead, Kyle Busch inherited the lead, and then it looked like he was completely unstoppable. So while it wasn't the same guy all day long, whoever got the lead stayed there. And so that means the racing for the lead was not there really all day at all. Really, it kind of wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it
Nope.
really only was there on restarts, and the restarts were crazy, but then, it strung out pretty quick, and uh, Clean Air was king once again, and yeah, it was pretty interesting because, Logano and Chase Elliott dominated their respective stages, and then they were pretty much nowhere to be seen after that. I would say I saw more passing than usual at Phoenix. I don't know if any of you saw that, but I don't know if it was a low downforce or what, but the racing throughout the pack was pretty good. It was just hard to get the lead.
Right. I completely agree. I mean, that was just that was the thing that the Cup race lacked that the Xfinity didn't. You know, the Xfinity, they had a lot of racing for the lead at points.
Mm-hmm.
Cup didn't. So
Exactly.
it was just super tough to get track position and then hold on to it. I mean, guys went from being dominant and then just fell off the fucking cliff. I mean, look at Logano. He fell like pretty badly. And I mean, obviously he had a what was it, a pit road speeding penalty
Yeah.
that
Yep.
sent him to the rear. He had to work back through that, but by that point his brakes were shot, and he ended up obviously in the wall and DNF'd at the end of the race. Chase Elliott went from just kicking absolute ass and then had bad luck on restarts and eventually just faded, and just like he wasn't there at all. And then Kyle just got screwed. So, you know, everybody that looked dominant
by Joey Logano of all people.
which is hilarious in its own.
Yeah, how fitting is that?
It is incredibly fitting. But you just saw how everybody that was dominant ultimately wasn't there to collect the victory at the end, which again shows how hard it is to win these damn races.
Yeah, and then you have Newman out of nowhere. It's always nice to see a surprise winner like that. I mean, who would have thought that Ryan Newman would have pulled that off?
Ryan Newman won.
Ryan Newman won.
Yeah.
Heck, Stenhouse could have won if he didn't have a horrible restart.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
God, how would that have felt? Oh my God.
Yeah. But just a couple quick stats for Newman, since I have him up. That snapped a 127 race winless streak. It was his 18th career Cup win, his first with Childress, and then that is Childress's first Cup win since Harvick left in 2013. So definitely a lot of dry spells being broken. And
Also,
it's always nice to see.
Also, to add on to the fact that when Harvick left, Harvick got their last victory at Phoenix, so it's kind of coincidental that it just so happened to be Phoenix again where they broke their winless streak. So
Yes,
I guess that's kind of cool.
And Ryan Newman snapped a 77 race winless streak at Phoenix in 2010. So
Yeah.
And
I guess
that was his first win with Stuart Haas.
Yeah.
So a couple coincidences there that just so happened to all add up.
Plus, this is also the first win for the 31 car since Jeff Burton at Charlotte back in 2008.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, so it goes even further
almost
back.
9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long time. So
Mhm.
a lot of streaks snapped today with a quite frankly odd and surprising victory, and in just right place at the right time. So
yeah. If
I
I'm
felt
going
like
to
it
put
was
anyone
balanced.
up front at the end with no tires, it would be Newman.
I mean, you know what they say about Newman? He's harder to pass than a kidney stone.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like I said, I just called him a roadblock, and I mean that in a good and a bad way. So, but he benefited. Like I just said, he was in the right place at the right time. He benefited from that. He benefited from having a couple guys behind him that also didn't stay, or also stayed out with him, and everybody else was on 2 tires, so they didn't have a ton of grip, but they still had a faster car than he did. Larson just kind of botched it again, and damn, man, that's just another thing. Larson, he's got to get his shit together. It's amazing. He gotta stop blowing shit in the Cup Series and Xfinity. He does it everywhere. He could have so many more wins in that column if he just wouldn't step on his little wiener. God, man.
I mean, 3 consecutive second place finishes, and not to mention 4 of the last 5 races he has finished in the runner-up spots. So
yeah, and if you want to sit here and analyze them, he probably could have won at least 3 of them. Homestead he botched, guaranteed. Atlanta he gave up an opportunity. Vegas he wasn't in a winning position. He just kind of benefited from some last lap shit. But still, good run. And then today he definitely botched an opportunity to win because he lost too much momentum on that restart after contacting Ricky Stenhouse. I thought that once he got hit, he was going straight into Newman. There was just going to be a big old pile up.
Yeah.
And he was lucky that didn't happen. And so was Newman, obviously.
Yeah, it was almost like when Kenseth got wrecked last fall.
Right. So he was certainly lucky, Newman. But again, good for those guys to get in there and sneak away with one. So, and they're now in the playoffs. They're in the chase, which they weren't last year. In the 16-person chase, they couldn't make it last year. So that's a little bit of redemption for them, even if they still aren't exactly up to par as far as pace and speed and consistency go. I mean, they had a solid day. He was going to finish in the top 10, but he was in the right place at the right time. so I'm not going to say that again. But he certainly was. So, race ratings.
Yep.
What do we think? Nick, give us a rating.
Ooh, it's just like Vegas was better than Atlanta. I'll give it a 7.5. It was, I'd say, one of the better races at Phoenix, especially because Newman won. So, yeah. Kane, who do you got, or what do you have?
Well, if Kyle Busch had won, I was going to give it like a 1 or a 2 because, but I mean the surprise ending really caught everybody off guard. But the racing itself wasn't really that exciting. Obviously, I mean the finish was exciting, but other than that, it wasn't a really exciting race. So I'm going to give it 5, I think.
I guess I have to be the one to be the harshest of all of them, and I speak for just no biased way, that's for sure. I have to give it a 4 out of 5, or 4. Or excuse me, that would be pretty good. For
Yeah.
4.5 out of 10. In a weird way, I feel like it was better than Vegas, so I kind of agree there. But the reason I gave Vegas a 5 was simply because of the last lap antics, and the last lap was crazier than it was here at Phoenix. The racing just wasn't that great all day long, and like I said, it was dominated without being dominated by one guy. It just, I don't know. I expected a little bit more. Clean air was king, so come out as a little bit of a disappointment for me. I believe the fall race will be a little bit better though. So 4.5 out of 10. Alrighty, it's that time of the podcast, and we are handing out some awards for the Phoenix race weekend, and I'm going to go ahead and kick them off with the boner of the week, and that has to go to Mr. Ryan Sieg for his crash with Austin Dillon in the Xfinity race. That was quite an awkward reaction and wreck. The wreck had already happened between Cole Custer and Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon's up into the wall, and Ryan Sieg just seems like he has ARCA brakes, or just didn't know what the hell was going on, stepped on himself, and wrecked. It was just a awkward incident, and I'm sorry, Ryan Sieg, you have to get the boner of the week. Moving on, next award.
All right, our next award is Can of Corn, and that goes to Mr. Justin Allgaier for ending his almost 5-year winless drought in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, well, actually, not just Xfinity, NASCAR in general, because he went winless in Cup, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, it makes me happy, and I'm sure it makes Nick happy, too, and Justin is from Riverton, Illinois, which is 3 hours south of me and Nick. But, yeah, that was so cool seeing him win it, and we're just really excited for him, and hopefully he'll continue that success for the rest of the season. All right, so moving on.
All right, our next award is Payback's a Peach, Tree City, Georgia. That goes to Reed Sorensen, who it was hard to tell on the replay, but the way Mike Joy put it, Reed Sorensen took out Corey LaJoie because Corey LaJoie took out Reed Sorensen at Daytona. And that sounds like a likely story, so we'll go with that. Good job, Reed Sorensen.
Next award goes to Ryan Blaney, and that's Settle Down, Soldier. Ryan Blaney got a little bit salty during the Cup race, particularly at Dale Jr. for, I guess, holding him up. We're not even 100% sure. But as you can see from the screenshot above, yeah, he was very, very salty. So, needs to settle down a little bit. I don't dislike Ryan Blaney in any way. But I understand it was just the heat of the moment. But still, settle down, Soldier.
All right, and our next award is Everything's Great. And obviously, no question, that goes to Kyle Busch for being a complete smartass on Friday after coming out of the NASCAR hauler. The media members gathered around, and he basically became Marshawn Lynch, which is appropriate because we all know Marshawn Lynch loves Skittles, and Kyle was driving the Skittles car this weekend. And every question that the reporter would ask him, he replied with, "Everything's great. I'm just excited to be here. I can't wait to get back in my race car, and everything's great."
Everything's great.
So, and also, he also lost the race thanks to Joey Logano himself, who, of course, blew a tire with 6 to go, and also some varying pit strategy by Ryan Newman, Ricky Stenhouse, etc., etc., etc. So, there you go, Kyle. Everything's great. It's great to see you're still the same Kyle.
All right, our next award is the usual cigar award, and that goes to Luke Lambert for his gutsy call late in the race. He's the crew chief for Ryan Newman, by the way. And it also goes for Ryan Newman for capitalizing on it and driving the wheels off that thing to pull off the victory. So who knows? Maybe it might be the call of the year, depending on how he does in the chase. Good job for those guys. Just enough about Newman. It's time for the crying towel. Kane, take it away.
All right, and as you saw in the Xfinity Series, Austin Dillon did not take very kindly to Cole Custer taking him out with I don't know, I forget how many laps were left, but still, Austin Dillon had a little bit of a hissy fit after he got taken out by Cole Custer. He went back onto the track. The whole rear end of the car is completely gone, and he rams our buddy Cold Custard into the wall. Oh, did I say Cold Custard? Oh, I'm sorry. But still, he ran Cole into the wall, and honestly, what the hell were you thinking, Austin?
I haven't really seen the replay, so he took us out, so just dropping over his head. He just overdrove the corner, missed the corner, took me out with him. It was a hard hit, but, sucks.
It's an Xfinity race. You're not earning any. It's not like you're earning any points in there. I mean, unless it's for the Owners' Championship, which means absolutely nothing. I mean, come on, dude. What the hell were you thinking? I mean, this isn't. I mean, is that the reason why you wear that huge cowboy hat? Is to cover up your inflated ego? Oh my God, Austin! Oh, there's only one true cowboy out there, and that's Termite. Oh yeah. Oh, Austin, how could you? How could you? You're driving the 3-car in Cup. You really, if you want to be the next Dale Earnhardt Sr., you gotta stop acting like a little bitch. Oh, Austin.
Very well done, Kane. Yes, carving up Mr. Silver Spoon a new asshole there. So great job as always. Love the crying towel. So. Nick, any responses to that? How do you feel he did?
Well, I am a true cowboy.
Yes, that you are, and everyone's gonna find out here right now. Because I wanna be a cowboy, baby, with a top left back and the sunshine shining. Cowboy, baby. So, there you have it. There's Thermite being a cowboy. So, hopefully you enjoyed that, and before this charade continues any further, we're going to move on to the next topic. Okay, paint scheme time. Best paint schemes from Phoenix. I will go ahead and get mine out of the way first. Simple and very predictable. Dale Jr.'s Axalta. Really, it's a great looking paint scheme. I liked it obviously when it was revealed. They've had a few minor changes as far as like the gradient goes. My paint scheme replica mind immediately went to it and noticed those changes. I noticed also his signature and the Hendrick Motorsports on the name rail, or at the where his signature is went from white to black. Couple other subtle changes throughout the entire thing, but it's still a great looking car, even with that highlighter yellow. Really pops. Yeah, just a great car. Looking forward to seeing it several other times throughout the year. Go ahead, Nick. What was your favorite paint scheme of the week?
Alright, my favorite paint scheme was Matt Kenseth's Tide Pods car. Another no-brainer. Speaking of pops, this is yet another one. It really reminded me of actually Stenhouse's scheme that I liked from the other week. Got the orange and blue and yellow, and man, it's just a good-looking car. Too bad it slammed into the wall for one of the hardest hits of the day. I really would have liked to see that car come home in one piece, but it's great to have Tide back on the car. As a sponsor that NASCAR needs to keep around. And, yeah, I love that car. Kane, what do you have?
Well, mine, I didn't even realize was running until this weekend, but I'm going to take, well, actually, I was originally going to take Junior's car because like Tyler, I also went for the replica on it, and the car reminded me of Hulk Hogan. But anyways, the car I chose was Austin Dillon's Dow World Water Day Chevrolet. It's definitely, I mean, first of all, I didn't know World Water Day was even a thing until today. Obviously, it's probably promoting water conservation, but I know Dow has had some great water-related paint schemes in the past, including that beautiful car that Austin ran at Talladega that was completely covered in duct tape and spare nose pieces. That thing looked beautiful. But this paint scheme here, I mean, the first of all, I really like the detail that they put into it with the splashing water on the front and sides. Also, the shade of blue that they chose for like the background color, that I'm a really big fan of that. Um, Obviously, there's still like a lot of Dow stuff on there, but otherwise, it's definitely way different than what what I normally see him running, and definitely way better than last year's Dow water scheme. So I hopefully he runs it again, but without the like World Water Day stuff on it, because that's only because this is probably going to be a one-time only paint scheme. But I hope he runs something similar to that in the future, because this thing's pretty cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, good job, guys. And now moving on to the worst paint scheme. There weren't really many bad schemes this week, but we all agree this is probably the least good of them, and that is Greg Galding's Sunfrog.com Toyota Camry. So, Tyler, what do you have to say about it?
Mr. Sunfrog, first of all, comes right out of a bat out of hell, looking right on that hood. Creepy looking fucking thing. Not quite as creepy as George Spoonington on the Timmy Hill car, which was unfortunately back this weekend in the sights of and burned out like my eyes. But this car, it's just creepy, and I didn't really care for the green that much, the light green, fucking Frogger, whatever. Seriously, they should have fucking Frogger, that old video game, sponsored a damn car. If they want to have weird-looking frog-like things coming right at you with sunglasses and things, trying to be a wannabe Geico. The paint scheme is just uninspired. It's just simple. You know, they kind of wanted to make, like a little sharp, sharp curve down and shit on the side. Okay, you're not fooling anybody. It's not that creative. And it's just ultimately dull. It's not awful, it's just dull. But obviously, as I've already mentioned a few times, Mr. Froggy creeped me out. So that's why it gets the nod for the worst of the week.
Yeah, I didn't realize how creepy the frog looked until just now.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, that I don't know what to think of that.
It's fucking weird. That's what you think of it. So, alrighty, it's time for fantasy picks. I'm gonna review ours from Phoenix real quick. I picked Kevin Harvick, thinking he was just gonna come in there and wax everybody's ass. But that wasn't the case. He had a relatively mediocre day, considering his stats at Phoenix, so he came out with a 6th place finish. Nick, he picked Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski had a solid day, and he finished just right in front of him with 5th. And Alex picked Jimmy Johnson, and he came home in 9th. So now it's time to pick some for Auto Club. I'll get mine out of the way first, going with Kyle Larson. Yeah, I think it's kind of time that he stops stepping on himself and pulls out a win. And I think that this is the type of place that can suit him. Real high-speed track. He can run inside, outside, wherever the hell he wants to. He also got his first career, well, it was nationwide at the time. Nationwide win there. It was an excellent victory. And I think he finally comes through and gets a win. Alex, what do you have?
I am actually going to go with Joey Logano. Let's be honest, he should have won there in 2013, but of course, Denny Hamlin had to, had to get in there and ruin his plans, and then and then of course the feud didn't help either, and Hamlin ended up hurting his back that day, and Kyle won. So yeah, so I'm gonna go with the 22.
Okay, Nick.
All right. Well, once again, Tyler, you stole who I was going to pick, but that's okay because I will go with the other Kyle and Kyle Busch. He has a pretty good record there. It just seems like a track that suits him pretty well. So, yeah, Kyle Busch.
Simple enough. All right. Well, that wraps everything up. That was a good, nice podcast for everyone involved. Obviously, I'd like to thank our sponsors.
Turkey jerky.
Obviously, yes, we are presented by Perky Jerky, non-officially, but still, great job, gentlemen. For Mr. Kane Jr. 88, for Thermite 917, for me, Middleburg 1. You have listened to Behind the Wall, and you've been behind the wall, and we'll see you next time.